Thank you for joining the June 25th, 2019 VOLTHA call. Just a reminder to everyone that these meetings are public and recorded and typically posted to YouTube. So please keep that in mind during discussions and if we happen to have any presentations today. With that, we will go ahead and get started with today's meeting. The first item on the agenda is reviewing the new JIRAs. So we have a number of them that have been opened up. And then with the remaining time, then we can take a look at the Sprint 3 scope review. Primarily, I think at this moment, it's items that have carried over as incomplete from Sprint 2, and then a few more that have been mapped into Sprint 3. With that, we will move over to the new JIRA, starting with 1702.
We have 52 JIRAs.
But there's good news. There's good news. Many of them are subtasks for specific issues, and so we can primarily review the main issue and speed through the subtasks, for some of them at least. So don't panic yet. All right, our first new issue is VOL 1702. Let me just check. I don't think David's on the, don't see him on the bridge at least. Ah, he is joining now. Okay, so this one is already complete. David worked this one. It is invalid image name with 2.x charts. And I think he completed this one during Sprint 2. And do we have any questions for David on this item? All right, so that was one resolved defect. Then next, let's go on to 1703. 1703 was opened by William, and this one is done as well. Cannot pass traffic on VOLTHA 2.0 with Open OLT Go adapter. This was worked by Gyrus, and that patch was applied. And I believe there was also a note sent out on VOLTHA Discuss requesting people to retest with this latest patch if they were having issues with passing traffic. Do we have any questions for Gyrus on this item?
And there is a related bug. If you go scroll down a little bit, this oh, it's blocking. Okay.
Okay.
Regarding that related bug on the traffic cannot pass after disable re-enable, I verified that the traffic now passes, but the child devices, that the ONU devices, are not in a proper state, but somehow the traffic continues to work. So I have not raised any defect for child devices not being in a proper state, but we are looking into it. I'm going to create a bug for that. But at least I see that the traffic passes.
Okay, so you're going to create a new bug and maybe close this one out?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I'll close this one and create a new bug.
Okay, great, thanks.
Great, thank you. Any other questions or discussion on this item? All right, then we'll move on to 1704. This one was opened by David. Logical device flows visible or listed, but the device or OLT flows are not listed. Have any questions from the group or comments from David? Okay, currently we don't have anyone assigned to work on this one. So it is in the backlog also. Is this one that should be prioritized as medium priority? Is this one that folks would like to see attempted to be pulled into Sprint 3, our current Sprint, or TBD?
So David, one question is, did you run the traffic or not? So
this is with the simulated ONU, so no, I didn't run traffic. I'm just testing against the software components at this point.
Okay, and then you're using the simulated OLT, right? So basically, yes, the adapter is the OpenOLT adapter and ONU adapter is not engaged at this point, right?
The OpenOLT ONU, correct, is not engaged.
Okay. I'm wondering if we use BBSIM, whether this will be a little bit different. What do you think?
It's possible, and I do have on my my personal roadmap, if you will, to start moving over to BBSIM and the OpenOLT stuff. Just haven't done it yet.
Okay.
Thanks, Sean. Any other questions? Okay, we'll move.
Yeah,
on.
I think on that one, I just don't know whether it's a simulated OLT specific issue or is something else.
I'm not convinced it's OLT related. I think it's software component system related. And again, there wasn't instructions how to get there. This is why I include a lot of logs in this bug report. Someone just needs to do triage on the logs. It was just I was doing something else, found this, and logged it.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, so that one is in the backlog. If anyone's available to start taking a look at the logs, please feel free to assign it to yourself and pull it into the sprint. Next, we've got, oops, let me scroll down to the bottom, sorry, get to the right number in the list. We have a vol 1705. This is a high priority defect that was opened by David. Logical device exists after physical device is deleted, including the reference from the logical to physical. And
physical
we have
physical here might be a bit of a misnomer. So in the model, there's a logical device and a device. The physical device here is just that device, the reference to the physical device, if you will.
Mm-hmm. So again, the
question.
Expected behavior is when the physical device is deleted, the logical device should also removed, right?
I would think that that is the expected behavior. At least when I looked at it, I see an inconsistent data model behind the system now because I have a logical device that references an object that no longer exists in the model.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
And again, is that also using the simulated OLT?
Yes, yes. But again, I don't believe it's related to that, but there's no guarantee.
Okay.
And this one is marked with a high priority, so this would probably be a good candidate to try to pull into the sprint. Do we have anyone who can take a look at this?
Is this something that can be replicated in the ONS testing?
This should be replicable.
È chiuso? Ho messo il mute? Sì.
I was able to reproduce it at will. So I suspect it could be reproduced in the lab anywhere.
I wonder whether maybe it was instead of here, Julie will ask people, maybe ask how many labs actually has the VOLTHA 2.0 installed. I know AT&T has it. I think I think David, I'm sure that it's repeatable, but I want to ask whether other labs would have seen this one. Again, it's using the, and you said it's a simulated OLT, and it's not, but you have a strong feeling the OLT is not related. Okay.
Yeah, I'd just be interested if it's reproducible with a real physical OLT.
Yep.
And okay.
Yeah, that would be a good test.
Okay. So if anyone wants to take a look at that, again, please feel free to assign it to yourself. I'll move this up in the backlog to do some cleanup, so that's placed up near the top of the backlog again with the other high issues. Okay, any other discussion on this item today? Okay, next we've got Vol 1706, need a way to archive or trim transaction history in VOLTHA, and this is from David. Any questions from the group or comments from David? Okay, do we have anyone who knows? Oh, go ahead, Sean.
So that's, David, this is sort of related to the logging mechanism also, right?
No, it's actually not related to logging. If you look in the file that I thought there was an attached file. Shoot, there isn't. But if you do a bunch of actions in etcd, or I'm sorry, in VOLTHA, and then look at etcd, etcd has entries for each of those transactions. From what I can tell, this is just a growing list of entries in etcd, which is going to be problematic over time.
But don't those transactions expire after a while? I think they get removed.
If they do, that's great. I was just seeing the list get bigger and bigger. And if they do expire after time, there's a question of do we still want to somehow have a capability to archive them to have kind of an access record or not, I guess would then be the question.
Yeah, that we don't have.
Yeah.
Okay.
If they are timing out over time, I didn't see it in my test, but doesn't mean that they aren't. Then it just becomes an issue of what is a timeout for them to expire.
So basically, what you're saying potentially it's sort of the it's just override like 7-day period, right? So they just keep only keep the 7-day record on the active log. At the same time, the backup and restore, one of the backup mechanism may include these logs or not, right?
Well, again, these aren't, well, so as Stefan was indicating that these things should be timing out and being removed from etcd after some time period. I don't know what that time period is. If that is working, that's great. I think that it should be a configurable time period somewhere. If it's not working, then you need to understand out why it isn't working. Then the question becomes, do we want to be able to archive some of these as kind of an access log, or is existing logging enough that we have that information already? So the first step, I think, is to verify if these are actually timing out and what that configuration time is. And I will augment this to indicate that, and it's just something to look at.
Any other discussion on this today or questions?
I'm writing some comments on this one, and then potentially service provider will provide some input regarding to the rolling timeout period, and then whether they need to be restored backup. Okay,
so I was going to say, once we have the augmentation of this by David as well, with what he finds on the behavior for the timeout or the settings, then we can look at next steps, and that's, Sean, related to the comments that you'll place in there as well. All right, so we'll be revisiting this in the future. And then let's go ahead and move on to our next item. 1707, run Golang SCA tools on the Golang OpenOLT adapter. And we do have a number of subtasks that were opened up for this as well. And so I think we can probably review those at the same time. So Amit or Girish, do either of you want to do a quick overcap of the related subtasks?
Yeah, this is Amit. Yeah, so basically what we have done is for each of the linters, we have created a separate subtask just so that it's a little granular and we can view the progress. So we had a discussion on VOLTHA Discuss on usage of the static analysis tools. So what we see is if you use something like Go report card, GoLint there is throwing up a lot of warnings, and some of those are related to the iAdapter interface. And at least we could not find an easy way of filtering those out. And so there was a suggestion of using Golang CI lint, because that has some capabilities of filtering out the warnings which we want to ignore. And that's why the proposal is to use Golang CI lint for running all these linters. So that's the idea. Any questions?
Okay, thank you, Amit. And then, Girish, I see. Oh, go ahead.
Just on the point. So here we have left out the license tool. So we plan to take it up later on. So for now, the license tool is left out.
Okay.
No, Amit, I think the license tool is already integrated to the Jenkins CI pipeline.
Oh, okay, cool. Then that anyway solves it. Okay.
I mean, it's not a goal. I don't know if there's a Go license or something like that, but I think I know there is a license job on Jenkins. I don't know how that works, but there is.
And
okay.
then, Girish, I see that. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I see this is marked as in progress, Girish, so should I map it into the active sprint?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you. And Sean, did you have a question?
So one question is the SCA tools. Of course, I don't know what that is. Is the team working on the VOLTHA core? Are they also using this tool?
Are we using
Stefan
lint?
and what?
Are we using lint?
I don't know.
No, I mean, is that the question? Yes, we're using GoLint and Go format.
Right.
And actually, I'm not sure if we're using all of these.
Okay.
Well, the build process uses the lint tool, I forget. Or GoLint it calls the Go format, whatever.
Yeah. So we verify the format, we verify GoLint. I thought we did a Go vet as well, but the other ones I don't think we do. Are, yeah. I mean, if there are additional open, or what would I say, non-cost or non-cost licensed software to use that can provide both static, better static analysis, we should go for it.
Okay, I just want to see what the community whether other people have some experience with these tools. Okay, great.
All right, any other questions? Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to the next one. We have a medium priority defect that was open, 1708, deleted devices marked as deleted but still shown in list. And this one's from David.
Dave, would that be a vote cuddle issue versus still?
No, it's not. It's not.
I have to try it.
You have to try. I get it, and I'll keep saying it's not.
Okay. And again, if the community can verify this, that'll be great. Yeah. And you said the component is the VOLTHA core.
Yeah, one down, if you scroll down at the bottom, there is a comment that it does look like a node was in failure at this time. Thought I put that somewhere.
You put it at the top of the description.
Okay. So that is an added trick, I guess. Again, a lot of these bugs, I'm going off and testing different things, and I find these, and these aren't the main thing I'm testing, and I file them just so they're recorded. If they're non-reproducible flukes, I'm more than happy to have them marked off that way. I just want a record.
Much appreciated. All right. So we've got that in here, and again, as Sean requested, if there's anyone who's got 2.0 running in a lab that can do some verification with physical hardware, that would be appreciated. And then you can provide updates in the comments on this. Any other questions from the group? All right, then let's move on to our next item, 1709, add missing priority queue attribute configuration from tech profile. And this one was reported by Gyrus. And so this is work that was already complete in 1.x and needs to be migrated to the 2.x OpenONU adapter. And then a reference to the 1.x commit that resolved this on the 1.x stream. So appreciate that link in there as well. Have any questions from the group? And we'll have a number of these that are calling out the work that needs to be carried over from 1.x and migrated to 2.x. We'll see a series of those. Girish, any comments before we move on?
No.
Okay, thanks. All right, we will go ahead and I'm assuming these are open for people to assign to themselves as well. This one, I think since we're trying to get this to parity with 1.x, likely we need to pull this into the sprint, is that correct? Asking
yes.
the community, okay.
There are, I said that this one is blocked by a couple of issues, but I think since this touches upon only the OpenONU adapter and the rest, the other issues are being worked in the core and the OpenOLT adapter, I don't think it should really be blocked. I thought blocked, but I guess not. So someone could actually start looking at this.
Oh, okay. So do you want me to remove the links in here or leave it for now?
You can remove them.
Okay. All right, thank you for that update. Okay, any other questions from the group on this item? So as it was mentioned, this is free for someone to pick up if they have cycles and would like to work on that. Then we'll move on to 1710, generate OLT connectivity related alarms in Golang OpenOLT adapter. And again, this is a migration of work from 1.x to 2.x. And this one has an assignee, so thank you for taking on that.
So, Julie, this is Fabrizio from Milano. So we have put some questions together with Daniele to Girish over the mails.
I see that down here.
Already answered.
Oh, it's already answered?
Girish, yes, I have put another question to another member of the team, which is implementing the blocking task, because this task is blocked by another one. But by the way, I can try to start working on this task. I am actually doing so, and waiting for the implementation of the new framework for alarms.
Okay.
I can start to do something and to do the analysis of this task. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Let me go ahead, since you're starting the preliminary work, let me go ahead and move this into the sprint if that's okay. That way we can remember to come back to it during the follow-up meetings if we need to have more discussion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there any Julie, sorry, is there any clue on the blocking vol it's being released? It's going to be released? The 1380?
The 1380.
We hope to publish in about a week.
About a week, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
And maybe I can take another one in the meantime. I don't know yet which one, but I will look around in the backlog. For instance, the one that you have unblocked just before this one, the 1709.
Yeah, okay.
I can try to see. Okay.
I think that's a good one to pick up, in my opinion.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on 1710 at the moment? So once that's unblocked, it sounds like the work will start. So much appreciated for taking that on. And then let's go ahead, go on to 7. Oh, was there a question?
Just a comment, right? I think for the community, you know, to me, I think 1710 is probably more important than the 1709. So you map the 1709 to Sprint 3. I don't know whether
this one is already in Sprint 3 as well, because it was assigned.
But,
and so it looks
but
like
1709 wasn't assigned, right? So you assigned it to Sprint 3. Do we really have the resource to work on it?
So this was why I mentioned pulling it into Sprint 3. If it's too early, I can move it back to the backlog. But it sounded like since 1710 is blocked for another week, that work on 1709 could happen while 1710 was blocked. I think that was the plan.
Okay. Okay. Julie, I have to drop. So
okay.
That's fine. Just yeah. Okay.
Okay.
But
you're right. Okay. Thanks, Sean. But to Sean's point, I probably should be careful as we're going through and looking at doing the migration of the features to make sure we're not overloading the sprint. So I'll try to be mindful of that. And then I think 1711 is our next item, and this one is downstream Gemport attribute list to be used for downward HISA flow. And this one was fixed in 1.x again, so this is a migration to 2.1. And again, we have the link to the commit that resolved this for the 1.x stream. Any questions from the group? All right, and as we've stated for some of the others, then I'll leave this out of the sprint at the moment. And then if there is someone who has resources to work on this, feel free to assign yourself and map it in to the sprint. That's acceptable. Questions before we move on? Next, we've got 1712, free flow ID from resource manager pool if the flow failed to add on the device. And this is another migration item. Do we have any questions from the group or comments? Okay. Then next, we've got 1713, OLT reboot breaks with tech profile and meter support changes. And this is again a migration item. Any questions? Okay. Then next, we've got 1714. This fixes an issue where flow stats reply in OF agent fails. And again, this is a migration to 2.1. Any questions or comments from the group? All right, and again, just a thank you to Gyrus for providing the links for the 1.x commits in the description for reference. Next, we've got 1715, adding metadata match criterion to the classifier of the OpenOLT Flow Manager. Again, another migration effort. Any questions from the group? Okay. Next is 1716, don't look for uni port number in metadata in match. This only has CVLAN info now and only for downstream flows. And this is another migration issue. Any questions from the group? All right. Then this now brings us to a defect that was open, 1717, attempting to enable device before adapter started prevents adapters from registering. And this is opened by David. And we've got the description here. Any questions for David or comments from David? All right, I am not hearing any. It's a medium priority defect as it was opened. So if we have anyone who's free to look at reproducing that or working on a fix, please feel free to take on this item as well. We'll move on to the next, which is 1718, add best practices labels to Helm charts for pods. And this item was reported by David and is done as well. I think I'll go ahead and put it in the sprint so we can track the story points, if that's all right, David. Okay, I think there's some discussion on VOLTHA Discuss also. Any questions or comments? I hope I haven't lost everyone. Next item is 1719, create Kubernetes probes for read-only core. And then the subtasks related to that, the create liveness probe, readiness probe, and configure the probes in the Helm chart. And I think there was some discussion on this also in VOLTHA Discuss. David, are you still on the bridge? Okay, he may have dropped. Any questions from the group? All right. Let me move on since the next three are the related subtasks for that. Let's move on to 1723, create Kubernetes probes for read-write core. Any questions from the group? And again, we have the three related subtasks, so we can skip over that and go to 1727, create Kubernetes probes for OF agent. Any comments from the group? And then we've got, again, the three related subtasks. So we'll jump over those and go to 1731, create Kubernetes probes for API server with its associated subtasks. All right. Next then is 1735, create Kubernetes probes for CLI server and its related subtasks. And next, 1739, create Kubernetes probes for simulated OLT and ONU adapters. Any comments or questions? Okay, then moving on to 1743, create Kubernetes probes for open OLT and ONU adapters and the related subtasks as well. Okay, and we are almost through the list. I think this next batch are the ones that we reviewed as part of 1707 earlier. So let me just make sure. That I don't miss any, then, okay. Then I think our last one for today is 1754. And this one is support OLT disable and enable with 2 ONUs connected to the OLT. And this one does have an assignee. Do you have any questions or comments, discussion on this item? Okay, so that brings us to, I think, all of the new issues. I'll reload the page just to see if anything else came in. It looks like that's it. So going over to our agenda, the next topic we had was to do a recap of where we are with Sprint 3, which kicked off this week. So that's just been opened yesterday. And then the majority of the issues in there are ones that carried over as incomplete from Sprint 2. And so we'll be working to close those out as best as possible. Let me get to the right screen. That is the right screen. Get to the right tab. Okay. Okay. So we do have a number of items or subtasks related to 1380. I believe we talked about that a little bit earlier. So Gyrus, is that the one that we're expecting to be complete in roughly a week?
Yes, in about a week, we'll have the changes up for review.
Great. Okay, thank you. And then we just talked about the new subtask opened up 1754 for the OLT reboot. I believe there are Garrett changes for 1551 that are out there for review. Any discussion we need with a larger group on that today? Okay. And then we talked about the Golang SCA tools in reviewing those news stories today. So I'll skip down to the other issues, and large number of these are ones that were open previously. And we do have a number in progress that have carried over from Sprint 2 also in this group. Okay. Let me just check with the group. We've got about 20 minutes left. Is there any particular item that has been in progress that folks would like to take a look at today? If we need assistance with getting reviews in Garrett or any additional support to move the items along? Okay, I'm not hearing anything, so I'll go ahead and we'll just do a quick recap and let folks go for today. So in progress, we do have the 1648, the improve on connect retry mechanism. We have some brigade items open for the BAL 3.0 brigade, 1638 on TCONT gem creation and scheduler. We have the Golang implementation of the OF agent, the ONU delete using the edge core OLT, and then operational status on the ONT uniport data. Let me check. I know we had some comments in there. Do we have, I don't think I see Chip on the bridge. Okay, so this one I think we still need to sort out what remains to be done on that item. And then we have the integration testing and HA testing items that, oops, my screen moved down, sorry, that are open and ongoing work. And that covers the 3 right above this. We've got the integration testing for the OF agent, Affinity Router, and core as well. 1564 is for the deletion of flows in OpenOLT, and it looks like there is 1 remaining open Gerrit for that item. Then we have some tech profile related work, and we do have a review in Gerrit for that as well. We have the documentation process for VOLTHA that was discussed by Zach at one point with the initial documentation framework link. We probably need to revisit this with Zach in the near future. We have the item in progress to change VOLTHA BBSIM to use the new unit test template. And then the release engineering process. Again, I think we probably need to come back and have some further discussion on this item as well. We have a couple related to the ONU registration ID, and I believe those are still open as well. And we have the BBSIM DHCP test case work. I think that was unblocked recently and started work towards the end of Sprint 2. And then we've got 1616, which is being worked by Kent on a defect. And then we have a couple more defects in process. This one, I think I had a comment in here. Stefan, are you still on the bridge?
I am, yes.
Okay. I think Ken had taken a look at this previously. I didn't look at this today. I'm not quite sure what, sorry, my screen is not behaving here. I'm not quite sure what we need to do for these items to move them forward. So I may want to revisit that with Ken. Or
which one are we referring to?
This is 1516.
Okay.
So there are 2 patches, one for 1.x and one for 2.0. And then I think a couple weeks ago, so it may be just a question it looks like it's back to Andy at this point. So let me ping Andy, but if you want to take a look, if you can give me any suggestions, I'm open to that.
Okay, I'll look at it.
Thank you. And then 1689, I believe this was under some discussion on VOLTHA Discuss. I thought we'd reached, Amit, am I thinking of the right one? We had some agreement on an initial path forward, or am I confusing this with a different issue? This is the ONU stays in discovered state, race condition, and ONU discovery indication. I believe there was some related dialogue on VOLTHA Discuss.
Yeah, Julie, you are correct. So I think a consensus was reached as to how this can be handled for the time being, but I'm not sure as to where the implementation is. I
Okay.
think.
Okay, but I think the good news is we have consensus on how to proceed. So hopefully we can get that work underway or restarted. Okay, thank you, Amit. And then we do have a number, I think that gets us through the in progress items. And then we went through the larger ones above. Let me start back here. We have a number of the to-do items as well. Some of these are defects, and so those are ones we are hoping we can find folks who can work on those during the sprint. And I believe some of these have carried over. Yes.
Julie,
yes.
So this is Girish here. So this issue is on 2.6, and Frank from Broadcom said
yes.
that they're not going to fix this. I think Sean is also aware of this. So
okay.
I'm not sure if we should be tracking this anymore.
And I actually see I had a note here. I was supposed to move it to the backlog, and I neglected to do that. Okay. So let me go ahead. And so you're thinking we should close this one? Is it going to, or do we need to confirm that it's resolved in 3.0?
I think that's a good question. So we are not at a stage in 3.0 where we can start verifying this.
Yeah.
Maybe we can move this to backlog and probably verify this in 3.x.
Okay. Okay.
confirm it's fixed or not.
Okay, thank you. And let me remove some Sprint. Thank you. Okay, then we have a brigade item for the BAL 3.0 brigade. And then we have enable and disable of the Ethernet uni port for the ONUs. And Aishwarya, I think you're working on that one. Did you have questions you need to discuss with the group today for this item?
Hi, actually right now I don't have any questions. I'm just in the process of understanding the existing code.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
After some time, maybe I'll have some questions.
Okay. Thanks. And then I think Chip is not on, so I'll have to follow up with him. Because I think this is still linked to his old email, so we're not able to get the updates to him through here. So we'll see if we can get that resolved. 1445 is another defect that's in the to-do column with no assignee. So we'll be looking to see if we can find an owner for that during the sprint as well.
I think it says it's 2.1, but it's actually in fact 1.x.
Ah, okay.
And but for 2.x, we have not even attempted to see the behavior. I'm pretty sure it doesn't work, but this issue was in fact raised for 1.x.
With 2. Okay, so let's see. So is this one that should be moved back to the backlog, and or do we need to have something open for just a subtask maybe to test it on 2.x?
Yeah, I think we can have a subtask to test it on 2.x and move this to backlog.
Okay, and I just messed up by clicking all of my, where was I? Sorry about that. Okay, so let me, okay. And I'll try to get that after the call rather than doing it right here. Thank you. Okay, and then also I should probably move this to, should I change the fixed version to 1.x here?
Yes.
1.7?
Yes, 1.7.
Got it, thank you. Okay, so let me go ahead and move it to the backlog now as well. And then I'll get the subtask created after the call. Okay, thanks. All right, then we had 1390, which is related to DT requirements. Is this one, Gyrus, I think your name is associated with this. Is this one targeted for Sprint 3? Or is this one?
No, I don't think we are working in the sprint. Please move this out of the sprint.
Okay. Let me move it to the backlog. Thank you. And then 1492, OpenLT preserve and verify stats and alarm collection. I think this was originally opened on the related to the Python adapter, but would be related to making sure this is handled on the Golang. Do you know if there's a separate issue on the to track this with the Golang OpenOLT adapter? Or do we just keep this one open and update it to map it over to perhaps the Golang Epic? This may be covered under some of this other work we've got. I'm not sure. May have to follow up on that.
I think like those are those reserve and verify tasks, right? They were written with the
yes.
Python. They were written for the Python one in mind, but that's kind of, we don't need, like, they could be, I mean, they're really meant for whatever adapter we're using. So
yeah.
I think Go would be better to do that than Python.
Okay.
Unless someone really wants to do it for Python. But.
And William, I think that was you. Okay. Then we have a few defects that are in the backlog as well. I think we have owners. Probably should check with Ken if he's still the right assignee for those. We've got the 1370 for the health command, 1656 for with PONSIM OF agent reporting incorrect number of ports. 1658 able to create but not delete device. And then I think some of these are mapped to him, and if there was someone else on the team to take it on, he was going to remap it, but we'll check on that. And then 1655 OF agent stops attempting to connect to AF router on repeated failures. This one, I think, David, this one requires more testing with the last update we had here. Is that more testing that you're doing on this? Is David still on? I think David dropped. All right, I'll have to check back with David on this item for the status for retesting. Okay, and then we had the two new items that we mapped over today. So that's a recap, I think, of the work that we have currently planned in Sprint 3. Have any questions from the group or concerns, comments? Okay, then I think we can wrap up today's call. Again, if folks have time to work on defects, please feel free to pull those from the backlog, particularly focusing on the high, medium priority would be appreciated. And I think we'll go ahead and wrap up today's call. At the moment, I don't believe we have any items scheduled for Thursday's meeting. So if there are demos or deep dive discussions that we'd like to see take place on Thursday's call, please let me know, as we would still be looking for example for tech profile depot discussion, a demo, and then we wanted some follow-up discussion at some point on the adapter lifecycle management and some performance testing on the 2.0 core, comparing that with 1.x. So those are some examples of future items we wanted to get to. If there's anything here or any of the VOLTHA discussed topics that need to be moved to a discussion on one of the Thursday calls, please let me know so we can schedule those in. With that, I think I'll go ahead and take a last call for comments or questions, topics for today. Anything from the group? Okay, thanks everyone for your time. I think we'll go ahead and wrap up today's meeting just a couple minutes early. I will stop the recording.